You're listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available on podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
Hello there, it's time for another News Periscope podcast. My name is Titilaya Oyinso, and I'm here to give you a bird's eye view of what's happened around the world in the past 7 days. And in the highlights, Nigeria's President Buhari opens performance review, assures projects will be completed before 2023. Former Governor Peter Obi knocks AGF Malami's comment on state of emergency in Anambra. Pastor Bakare forms new movement, demands new constitution. Ahead of Anambra elections, Deputy Governor Nkem Okeke dumps APGA for APC. Nigeria's Senate passes 2022 budget for second reading. Iraq captures terrorist chief declared wanted by US. A British parliamentarian stabbed to death at town hall meeting in church. Escaped Kenyan child serial killer lynched by mob. And now to details. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday declared open the midterm ministerial performance review in Abuja, sparking uncertainty among his cabinet and other top government officials. As to what lies ahead of them, the assessment is for ministers, permanent secretaries and top government officials. In sacking the former ministers of power, Saleh Maman, and his agriculture counterpart, Sabo Nanono, on September 1st, the president had warned that exercise would be a continuous process. President Buhari noted that the idea of the assessment is to identify weak areas with a view to strengthening the ability of the government to deliver the goods to the people.
To address our current economic challenges and consolidate on our achievements over the past year, this retreat has been designed to A. Review the performance of each minister in delivering the ministerial mandates, including programs and projects assigned to them upon their appointment in 2019. B. Identify key impediments to implementation. And C. Re-strategize on how to accelerate delivery of results given the current economic situation. The retreat will also provide the opportunity to effectively evaluate the activities of the ministries over the last 2 years in delivering our promise to Nigerians.
President Muhammadu Buhari assured Nigerians that the 11.9-kilometer Second Niger Bridge, 120-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and other key projects under the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund will be completed within the second term of his administration. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to devalue the naira to reflect the reality of the market. Speaking at the midterm retreat of President Muhammadu Buhari's second tenure, the Vice President said the exchange rate is artificially low, and this is deterring investors from bringing foreign exchange into the country.
There must be synergy between the fiscal and the monetary authority. That is absolutely crucial. We must be able to deal with the synergy. We must handle that synergy between the monetary authority, the CBN, and the fiscal side. Sometimes it appears that there is competition between this, especially on the fiscal side. If you look at some of the interventions, you will find that those interventions, they are interventions that should be managed by ministries. So the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment should handle MSME interventions and those kinds of interventions. And we should know what the CBN is doing. In other words, if the CBN is going to intervene in the MSME sector, it should be with the full cooperation and consent of the Ministry of Industries. If they're going to intervene in agriculture, it should be with full consent. So that synergy is absolutely important. The reason why it's important, aside, you cannot plan an economy in any other way. the more important thing is that sometimes you will get people who are benefiting more than once because we simply have no line of sight to what's going on one side. CBN doesn't know what we're doing. They don't know what we don't know what they're doing. So I think that is important. That synergy is absolutely important. And as for the exchange rate, I think we need to move our rates to a more reflective market, as reflective of market as possible. This, in my own respectful view, is the only way to improve supply. We can't get new dollars into the system where the exchange rate is artificially low. And everyone knows by how much our reserves can grow. So I'm convinced that the demand management strategy currently being adopted by the CBN, we need to rethink.
Still in Nigeria this Monday, the overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Tunde Bakare, has formed a new movement, Nigeria for Nigerians, N for N, ahead of the 2023 general elections in the country. Bakare, who disclosed this during his State of the Nation address in Oregun, Lagos, said the new movement was inaugurated because it was time for Nigerians to take back their nation. He also charged President Muhammadu Buhari to tear down the 1999 Constitution.
The continued insistence on altering the set rules in the midst of a spirited game of national development and the subsequent imposition of a draconian and lopsided concoction of a constitution in 1999 is the most inhibiting, corrosive spanner thrown into the wheel of our national unity, faith, peace, and progress from that time until now. I am fully persuaded, as are many fellow compatriots within and outside of the shores of Nigeria, that the 1999 Constitution, whether as amended or to be further amended by the National Assembly, is nothing more than a glorified death certificate. I say to President Muhammadu Buhari, Mr. President, stop passing the buck to the National Assembly. Tear down this inhibiting concoction of a constitution. Tear it down.
The former governor of Anambra State and the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2019 presidential election, Peter Obi, has insinuated that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, goofed on his statement on declaring a state of emergency in Anambra State. Obi, in a monitored interview, cautioned people in government to always evaluate their statements and think of the implication to the overall well-being of the country before making them. According to him, statements like Malami's can hurt the economy of the state and that of the country, stressing the need for government leaders to always make sure that their words and statements go through scrutiny.
Saying that you have to declare state of emergency in Anambra State because of insecurity should actually mean that you need to declare state of emergency in Nigeria. Because if you want to declare state of emergency in Anambra because of insecurity, you have to declare state of emergency in Nigeria because of insecurity. So that statement from the Attorney General shouldn't be. Also, he is the Attorney General of the Federation, not Attorney General of federal government or APC. There's positions you are now working for government. You don't go and speak. It's the Attorney General of the Federation, not of federal government, not of APC. Federal government should not talk about state of emergency. Failure of security in Anambra State is their failure because they are in charge of security. Unless they are saying they are going to declare state of emergency on the country. And everybody knows that. They have to work. All we are asking in Anambra is let's have a free and fair election. That's all.
Iraq has captured Sami Jassim, a high-ranking member of Islamic State in charge of the group's finance and a deputy of slain leader Abubakar al-Baghdadi. This is according to Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi. Baghdadi was killed in a raid by U.S. Special Forces in northwestern Syria in 2019. The U.S. State Department at that point had offered a reward for information leading to the location of Islamic State leaders it identified, including Jassim. We now move to the National Assembly, where the Nigeria Senate on Tuesday reversed its stance on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and has empowered the Independent National Electoral Commission to determine the best mode to transmit election results. The Electoral Commission will now have to decide how to transmit election results, whether electronically or manually. The upper legislative chamber during plenary that day also approved that all political parties must use the direct primary mode in picking candidates. The Senate approved 4 clauses in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. A human rights lawyer, Liborus Oshoma, said the Constitution is clear on the power given to INEC in the conduct of elections in the country. He also noted the Senate eventually allowed good reason to prevail after its failure to use backdoor to deny INEC of her constitutional mandate.
The Senate trying to throw spanner in the works by attempting to amend the Electoral Act to ask INEC to have recourse to NCC and Senate would have been conflicting with Section 160 of the Constitution. And we all know that by virtue of Section 1 subsection 3 of the Constitution, that section would have been a nullity. So I think the legal department of the National Assembly drew their attention to that section, or by public intervention. Some of this intervention that you and I have engaged in, they came to the realization that, look, wait a minute, this area we are trying to legislate on, the Constitution has covered the field in that area. So anything we do now will be viewed as using Electoral Act to amend the Constitution, which we all know will amount to a nullity. INEC had told them consistently also that they have the powers, they have been donated the powers by virtue of Section 160, and that Electoral Act cannot take away the powers donated by the Constitution.
Chairman of the National Conscience Party, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, has described as a welcome development the decision of the Senate to reverse its earlier decision on electronic transmission of votes by INEC. He said the decision will go a long way to strengthening the nation's democratic process. While speaking with Africa Business Radio, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, however, urged INEC to be prepared for challenges that will come with electronic transmission of results at the poll.
We are happy that the struggle has paid off for all that we've been demanding for INEC to transmit results electronically. Interestingly, these powers actually are within the reach of INEC. It's just for us to legalize it as they subjected it to the National Assembly. Unfortunately, the National Assembly almost took the shine of it as against the interests of the people. But now it is basically correct now for everybody to know that what he or she voted for will be transmitted electronically accurately. We are not saying that 100% that this may be without its challenges. There may be challenges, but INEC will also have to prepare to take care of the possible challenges because Nigerians are very good in manipulating the system.
According to him, what Nigerians want is a free and credible election to choose who presides over the affairs of the nation.
What we want is to have a credible, free and fair election where trust can be built between the electorate, the elected, and then the image of the country in general. So we will say kudos for all of the people who have been in this struggle to ensure that we have credible elections in Nigeria. The journey is just starting.
On the business aspect of things, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has warned that Nigeria must cut trade costs in order to compete favorably in the world market. She made this comment during a virtual presentation on the second day of the Presidential Midterm Review Retreat in Abuja. She noted that the cost of getting goods from manufacturers to export was high in many African countries, and especially so in Nigeria.
Improving security and lowering transactions costs for foreign investment, even for domestic investment, will be necessary. And Nigeria is part of a group of countries negotiating an agreement on investment facilitation at the WTO. Once this agreement is negotiated, ratified, and is being implemented, it could be instrumental in attracting additional trade-oriented investment. To complement investment facilitation, Nigeria has to cut down on trade costs, infrastructural costs, linkage costs, regulatory costs, customs costs, Basically, all costs associated with moving goods from the factory or farm gate to the final consumer.
A 300-level mass communication student of the University of Lagos, Chidinma Ojukwu, has this Tuesday pleaded not guilty to the murder of Super TV CEO Usifo Ataga. The 22-year-old did so when she and one Adedapo Quadri, who are the key suspects in the murder case, were arraigned before Justice Yetunde Adesonya of the Lagos State High Court at the Tafawa Balewa Square. Both suspects pleaded not guilty to 8 counts bordering on the offences of murder, forgery, and stealing. They were arraigned alongside Chidinma's sister, Egbuchu Chioma, from whom the late Ataga's iPhone 7 was said to have been recovered. Chioma, however, pleaded not guilty to the 9th count of being in possession of stolen property. On the foreign scene, police on Tuesday say at least 28 people have been killed and many others injured in a bus crash northwest Nepal. The vehicle was traveling through Mugu district when it left the road and plunged down a hillside shortly after midday that day. The cause of the crash is still unclear, but some reports suggest the bus may have had an issue with its brakes failing. Road accidents are not uncommon in Nepal and are usually caused by bad roads or poorly maintained vehicles. In sports, Manchester United defender Raphael Varane has been ruled out for a few weeks with a groin injury, picked up on international duty. The France international went off injured during the Nations League final win against Spain on Sunday. The 28-year-old has started 6 of United games this season after signing from Real Madrid in August. Red Devils boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is already missing defender Harry Maguire with a calf problem. United are next in action on Saturday when they travel to Leicester City in the Premier League. Bandits abducted 3 students after invading the Christ the King Major Seminary within St. Albert Institute, Fayet Fadan Kagoma, in Jemma's local government area of Kaduna State, Nigeria. The seminary school is a Catholic institution. The Catholic Diocese of Kafanchan confirmed the incident, noting that the 3 seminarians were in their 4th year. The attack occurred when bandits in large numbers struck as they shot indiscriminately when they stormed the school premises. According to a memo addressed to the Metropolitan Catholic Archbishop of Kaduna Province, the bandits had reached out and demanded 15 million naira as ransom. The memo said 6 seminarians sustained various degrees of injuries during the attack and were taken to Salem Hospital, Kafanchan, where they were treated and discharged. Meanwhile, the Zamfara State House of Assembly has suspended 2 of its members, Yusuf Anka and Ibrahim Bakura, for their alleged involvement in banditry. Anka and Bakura, who represent Anka State Constituency and Bakura State Constituency, were suspended for 3 months, pending the conclusion of an investigation into the allegation against them. Their suspension formed part of the resolutions reached during a plenary presided by the Speaker of the House, Nasiru Magaria. Leading the debate on the matter, the lawmaker representing Maru North, Yusuf Kanoma, drew the attention of his colleagues to the allegations against the 2 members, saying the House should not fold its arms and let such an act of misconduct thrive. He alleged that the suspended lawmakers were celebrating when reports emerged that the father of the Speaker was abducted, claiming that they connived with bandits to kill the former member, representing Shinkafi constituency Muhammad Ahmed. The said lawmakers have been directed to appear before the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges, as well as security agencies assigned by law to probe them. Ahead of the November governorship election in the state, Deputy Governor of Anambra, Nkem Okeke, has defected from the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. The Deputy Governor's switch to APC came just 24 days to the Anambra State governorship election, which holds on November 6th. President Muhammadu Buhari received the Deputy Governor at the presidential villa in Abuja.
for you to come out courageously, bring along your supporters, and explain to the rest of people that this is the best direction for your geopolitical zone, this is the best position for you. I respect your courage, and I congratulate you, and I welcome you to the party.
Okeke was led to the president by the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman and Yobe State Governor Maimala Bunni and Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma.
Our people are now willing to join the winning team, and the winning team is APC, the party. At the last count, 8 members of the House of Representatives, it's not only APGA, PDP, APGA, they've joined the APC. The Deputy Governor of Anambra State joined the APC and has been presented to Mr. President. So what is remaining? If there is any strong parameter for conducting an opinion poll, this exodus of legislators and the second in command in the state joining this party, of course, automatically should translate into electoral victory.
Nkem Okeke gives his reason for defecting.
I don't think I've contributed positively the way I would love to contribute to society development. Of course, the problem is always deputies are called spare tires, and I believe that I have a lot more to contribute to society, and I can do a lot more. And when APC approached me about joining the party, I thought, seriously about it, and I felt, well, if I want to make a contribution to society, you can only do it 2 ways, either in the private sector or in the public sector. And I'm more comfortable in the public sector. And I believe that with you as president, what I can do before we hand over March 17th next year, that hopefully after that I'll still be able to contribute to your administration, Mr. President.
But some Nigerians do not believe Okeke. Moving on, the Senate has passed the 2022 Appropriation Bill for second reading after over 1 hour of debate on its general principles. Last Thursday, President Muhammadu Buhari had presented a 16.39 trillion naira budget proposal for the 2022 fiscal year. Contributing to the debate, Senate Minority Leader Eyinaya Abaribe said the federal government needs to curb what he described as a borrowing spree.
40% of what we spend today on overhead can be cut because they go to no moment at all. Nigeria is a poor country. We have no business having 7 aircraft that are servicing people in this place when the United Kingdom itself does not even have an aircraft for its own government. So we ought to be able to be very creative in making sure that we know how to cut expenditure. I agree that borrowing is a very difficult thing for us today. But then, just like every other person has said, how do we borrow everything that we earn? Because the economic team of Mr. President has said that we are borrowing 97.7% of what we earn. That means that it leaves us with just 2% for every other thing, which now means that we have to continue borrowing even to fund ourselves. So we must have to think through this borrowing spree and see how we can reduce it as we go ahead.
The lawmakers who contributed to the debate expressed concerns over the increasing fiscal deficit and the government's continued borrowing to fund capital projects, while some defended the borrowings, which the executive said were to build the much-needed infrastructure. Others advocated public-private partnership, PPP, as an alternative to loans.
Those, Mr. President, if they be geared towards wealth creation, employment opportunities, increased productivity, and better infrastructure facilities, I think it's going to be a welcome development.
73% debt to revenue ratio is the highest among African countries of our level, which is extremely high. We are the highest country in Africa in terms of debt service and revenue ratio. And we really need to watch that.
There are complaints, genuine complaints, that some agencies are refusing to implement the budget, even though they have received up to 60 to 70% funding.
When we pass this budget, they shouldn't wait till month of March. They should start the implementation from January. And of course, the procurement processes should also be reviewed to make sure that they don't waste people's time, because most times it's not about the fund release, it's about the procurement processes that take too much time.
Speaking at the end of the debate on the budget, Senate President Ahmad Lawan said loans are not bad as long as they're used for what they're earmarked for. The Senate President said the National Assembly should be able to pass the budget before December. The federal government has directed all its employees to get vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus, as this will soon become a prerequisite for gaining access to their various offices. The chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, announced the new directive at its briefing on Wednesday. Mustafa said beginning December 1st, 2021, all federal government employees will be required to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination or present a negative PCR result to gain access to their offices.
With effect from 1st December 2021, all federal government employees shall be required, all without exception, shall be required to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination or present a negative COVID-19 PCR test result within 72 hours to get access to their places of work in all locations within Nigeria in our missions. An appropriate service-wide advisory circular will be issued to guide the process.
Mustafa said the government removed the travel restriction on Brazil, South Africa, and Turkey.
Over several months, 4 countries were placed on high-level restriction for travelers from such countries. The Presidential Steering Committee has, after a review of the development in these countries, decided to remove further South Africa, Turkey, and Brazil from the restricted list. As you are aware, the United Kingdom has eased restrictions on fully vaccinated travelers from Nigeria to the UK, with effect from 11 October 2021. Nigeria welcomes this development and assures that the Presidential Steering Committee shall continue to review Nigeria's protocol based on global developments, science, and national experience. A revised protocol will therefore be issued in full in the next 24 hours.
3 major seminarians who were abducted from Christ the King Major Seminary in Jema local government area of Kaduna State have regained their freedom. The Chancellor, Catholic Diocese of Kafanchan, Reverend Father Emmanuel Uchechukwu Okolo, confirmed their release on Wednesday night. He said the church would continue to pray for the release of the other seminarians who are still in captivity. Seminarians were abducted on Monday night by bandits who broke into the school. The United Nations top court has awarded Somalia control of most of a potentially oil and gas-rich chunk of the Indian Ocean after a bitter legal battle with neighboring Kenya over their sea border. Chief Judge at the International Court of Justice, Joanne Donoghue, ruled that there was no agreed maritime boundary and drew a new border close to the one claimed by Somalia, although Kenya kept a part of the 100,000 square kilometer area. The court rejected Kenya's claim of the maritime boundary it sought, saying Kenya had not consistently maintained it. But the court rejected Somalia's pursuit of repatriations after the country alleged that some of Kenya's maritime activities had violated its sovereignty. Several people have been killed and others injured in the town of Kongsberg, southwest of the capital Oslo, Norway, after a man used a bow and arrow to attack them. Chief Øyvind As said a suspect had been caught and seemed to have acted alone. The suspect reportedly moved throughout the town and authorities have cordoned off several large areas. Media reports say the attacker opened fire at a supermarket on Kongsberg West Side. As yet, police say the number of casualties is unclear as it's the motive for the attack. The injured have been taken for treatment in nearby hospitals. In sports, Nigeria's Ministry of Youth and Sports Development on Thursday debunked claims that it diverted funds meant for the payment of the country's male and female basketball teams' allowances. Recall that the women's team, which recently sealed a historic third consecutive AfroBasket victory, had taken to social media to protest the poor treatment being meted out to them. In a video posted on the team's Instagram handle, some key players lamented how they're being owed allowances, bonuses, and donations, and also being ignored rather than celebrated after their historic feat in Cameroon. The De Tigres players went on to threaten that they would boycott future call-ups by Nigerian basketball federations if government fails to listen to their cry. But Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Ismaila Abubakar, denied the claims that its officials shared some monies belonging to the basketball teams.
I want to use this opportunity to assure you that that money is safe because it is presently domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria. And contrary to the allegations out there, the money is intact and we have the records at our disposal.
A Nigerian cleric, Tunde Bakare, says the calls for power shift are not necessary. Rather, Nigerians should concentrate more on competence when electing the next president in 2023. The said region or part of the country from which contestants come from does not matter because the country deserves the best as president. He made the remark on Friday in an interview with the State House correspondents soon after he met behind closed doors with President Muhammadu Buhari.
It's our immaturity, politically and otherwise, that makes us say power must either be in the north or be in the south, instead of looking for the best, the fittest, the most competent, and people of character who love this nation. Not where they come from, is what they carry and what they have to offer. May the best of Nigerians rise, whether they are from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south. Now, if there are agreements between politicians among themselves on rotation, a bargain is a bargain. That's between them. But as far as this country is concerned, what we need at this stage is men who can drive us to the El Dorado.
Buhari used the opportunity to commend the Senate for approving the transmission of election results electronically.
National Assembly has done, especially the Senate, because with that, Nigerians can vote, and then the results can be transmitted so easily. If we can do not just transmitting results, but to be able to vote electronically, that would be wonderful. It would deepen and enhance our democracy.
The Nigerian military has said it will not prevent anyone from playing his part in the resolution of the fight against insecurity in the country. Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo declared this position at the resumed ministerial briefing anchored by the presidential communications team at the presidential villa, Abuja, fielding questions from newsmen on why the military has not deemed it fit to arrest popular Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi. Despite openly canvassing for amnesty for terrorists and bandits in the northwest, Irabo clarified that the cleric was not working for the military and that the armed forces would not prevent anyone from playing his part in the resolution for the fight against insecurity. The submission came following a rising allegation of discriminatory military engagement against the people of the southeast, particularly after the arrest of veteran Nollywood actor Chiwetalu Agu over alleged support for the proscribed separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. According to the CDS, what is found in the southeast is different from what is obtainable in the north, noting that insecurity varies from region to region. On the rumored death of Islamic State in West Africa province ISWAP leader Abu Musab, this is what Irabo had to say.
I can authoritatively confirm to you that Abanawi is dead. As simple as that. Anyone thinks that they can try the shape and form of the armed forces, then of course let him engage in any form of criminality.
A mob in Western Kenya has killed a self-confessed serial killer who escaped from custody 2 days ago. Maston Wanjala was traced by villagers to a house in Bungoma town and beaten to death. Authorities had launched a massive manhunt for the fugitive, who admitted to killing more than 10 young boys during a 5-year period. He also confessed to drugging them and in some cases drinking their blood. A British lawmaker in Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservative Party, who was stabbed several times in a church during a meeting with voters from his electoral district, has died from the wounds. 69-year-old David Amess, who represents Southend West in Essex, Eastern England, was stabbed around midday at a meeting at the Belfast Methodist Church. Police said a man had been arrested after the stabbing, and they were not looking for anyone else in connection with the incident. At least 37 people are dead and 70 more injured after 3 explosions tore through a Shia mosque during Friday's prayers in the Afghan city of Kandahar. Pictures from inside the Bibi Fatima Mosque show scattered windows and bodies lying on the ground, while other worshippers trying to help. A local reporter, quoted by Reuters news agency, said eyewitnesses described 3 suicide attackers. And on that sad note, that's how we wrap it up on this week's edition of News Periscope, right here on Africa Business Radio. Once again, you can join me again for another package of the week's happenings from around the world. My name is Titilayo Oyinso. Thanks for listening.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.